Welcome to Beast TV. What was that? You better get a fresh dip and buckle up. Shelley Reed II, how you doing tonight?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Of course, we have some technical difficulties tonight with video, and so hopefully we can get this. Hopefully, we'll get it going anyway. I'm going to just see if I can just try something and see if we can get it going.
Don't you love those updates?
Yeah.
Surprise!
Yeah, here.
Keep you on your toes, definitely.
Yeah. We'll see if how things going. Larry's running behind. Had to work late. Wasn't much he could do. But we want to welcome everybody to chat. If you have questions, just put them in all caps, and we will make sure that we get those asked for our guests tonight. And at the end of the show, we will talk about our upcoming meet and greet. Are you getting excited about the meet and greet, Shelley?
Oh, I've been excited. My camper's packed. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get out in the nice fall weather, sit around the campfire,
yeah,
and eat.
Yeah, we're gonna be busy that week because we got another outing to go to, and then we'll be leaving that outing Friday morning and headed to the meet and greet. So, it's a good thing that I have made a shower, so we don't have to go 9 days without bathing.
We've done it before.
Well, I tell you what, why don't you go ahead and introduce our guest, Shelley?
Oh, I get to do it tonight?
You get to do it tonight. You get to butcher his name. You get to play Larry.
Let's see if I can figure this out. No, I'm excited. We've been talking. He's going to be a great guest. He's got a lot of great stories and information. And I'm going to introduce to you Stephen Hill. Welcome, Stephen. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here with y'all.
Good.
Stephen, I'm going to see if I can pull your picture up. And say something for us, Stephen.
Hello.
It keeps going out. What a pain.
Yeah, it's going to be different tonight. That's for sure.
Yeah. What it is the broadcasting system that I use did an update. And so, we are kind of stuck with this problem, and Shelley she had to get a new modem from her ISP, and so we wasn't able to do a check after the OBS check update. So we're just going to do the best we can. But how you doing tonight, Stephen?
I'm doing good. How are you this evening, Mark?
I'm doing great, and I'm going to tell you, we are so excited to have you on tonight. And before we get started, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm married, and my wife and I have 3 children. This is I've lived here in Southwest Arkansas all of my life. I'm a Christian, and Bigfooting is my hobby. So that's how I view it, as a hobby.
Well, that's kind of how we do, and I see that Larry just joined the call with us tonight. So, Larry, how are you doing tonight?
Well, I just got off work and choked down a chili dog, so I may not be doing that well.
Oh, I want to say something so bad.
Yeah, I know.
All right, guys, since Larry's here, I'm going to sign.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Chiefs. Okay, guys. It was good seeing everybody. Have a great show. Good night.
All right. Night, Shelley.
Bye, Shelley.
Larry.
All right. Yes. Where were we?
Well, I tell you what, I'm just going to ask Stephen what got him interested in this topic.
What got me interested? I've always had an interest in anything that was abnormal or something that wasn't supposed to be. You know, whether it was UFOs, Loch Ness Monster, the Chupacabra, whatever. So it was anything that may come on TV. But what really got it started for me personally there with this, it was my oldest daughter had a sighting in the spring of 2008. And of course, what it was, she was looking at the blinds in her bedroom. We'd already all gone to bed, and she wasn't asleep, or she wasn't sleepy, I guess. So she was looking at the blinds, and she saw something big and tall come walking up against the tree line by the neighbors, in the neighbor's yard. There's a neighbor where the neighbors, they had their yard, and there's a property next door to it, and it's covered in trees. And she saw this thing. It came up, stopped behind their mailbox. It froze there for just a few seconds, and it turned around and it went back the way that it came from. And of course, she came to the bedroom and got me and told me, said, "Hey, come here. You need to come look at this." And of course, by the time I got there wasn't anything there. So with that one, it was she described that one as being about the same width as me, but it was a lot taller than me, because the mailbox that it stopped behind, it only came up to about its waist. So that was the first thing, and I really didn't get too excited over that. The next thing that actually happened was I'm thinking it was probably January of 2009 that I actually had a sighting myself. I was coming in from work. I was at the time I was working up around Costop Falls area. I was coming in. It was about dusky dark, where you could still see a little bit through the trees. And I saw something moving through the trees. And this thing, I saw it move through the trees. It crossed the road, and it went up a hill when it crossed the road. And I was already moving. I had slowed down. The road had a hard right-hand turn in it coming out, and I had slowed down. I was probably going maybe 15 miles an hour whenever I saw this thing cross. And I was thinking, well, by the time I get up there where this was at, I'll be able to see what that was, because I'll be able to see through the trees and see what it was. And whenever I got up there, that thing was gone. So that kind of got me started in it, but I was still reluctant about getting into the Bigfoot thing. At the time, I played softball for a long time, a little over 25 years, and so I already had a hobby. This right here was just just something that kind of piqued my interest from time to time, mostly.
So how old was your daughter whenever she had the sighting?
She was around 13 when that happened.
And she had never had anything like that before?
No, nothing like that.
Okay, because a lot of times they seem to keep coming back.
Yeah.
So that's why I was wondering.
Mm-hmm.
Give us a little background about where you live at and what the terrain is like, if there's woods around you or anything like that.
Where we live at here, it's mostly, you have a lot of flat land. It's not, we actually have to go north from where I'm at to start getting into the foothills of the Ozarks, or the Ouachitas, the foothills of the Ouachitas, I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
So we have some rolling hills, things like that. We don't have to go too far north from where I'm at to find some rough ground. The terrain can get rough in some of those areas, especially over closer to the Oklahoma line. You get the rougher things can get. But yeah, part of the reason for me, whenever I was reluctant about getting into the Bigfoot thing, was because our local news comes out of Shreveport, Louisiana, which that's closer to, for us, we're closer to Shreveport than we are Little Rock. And occasionally, there would be somebody on one of the local channels who would be interviewed because they'd seen the Falcon monster cross Highway 71 down there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And you could always tell that the interviewers, they never really seemed to take all that seriously. And if you ever mentioned it to anybody in the community, hey, did you see about the guy that was on TV last night claiming they saw the Falcon monster? Well, that was always laughed at. What were they drinking or smoking or whatever? That's
right.
That's how it always was perceived.
Yeah.
So as far as me wanting to jump in on that and say, hey, yeah, I've seen a Bigfoot. No, I wasn't ready for that. So it took me a few years after I had a sighting to actually kind of come to terms with it. The fact that, yeah, these things are here. So it's, I don't know. What the thing that probably turned me the most was the vocals that I'd heard, and that I know, I'm thinking it was 2011. My youngest daughter, I took her on a youth hunt, and we got a little old buck. First thing, as soon as it got light, we got a little old buck, and I thought, well, my goodness, this ended way too soon. So I thought, let's go down here to another stand, and we'll set that and see what else may come out. And we hadn't been on the stand 15 minutes, and we heard a howl, and just a few seconds after the howl, I saw a deer running across the tram just as fast as a doe deer could run. And I kept looking that way. I'm thinking there's going to be something following that deer here any second, and nothing ever came out. It wasn't until I heard the Mississippi howl the first time that I actually got chills, because I heard that before.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a difficult question.
All right.
Just to get this out of the way.
All right.
Now, you're a Christian. Mark
Yes,
and
sir.
I have had this discussion a million times. You as a Christian, I know there's a perception in the Bigfoot community that Christians can't believe in Bigfoot or whatever. What's your view as a Christian on Bigfoot? Not what it is or any of that, just...
Hey, man, there've been, it's real. I mean, there've been too many people have seen them. That's not everybody's lying. Not everybody's off in lava land just daydreaming that they've seen a monster out in the woods.
Right.
So yeah, I'm not completely out in the open with everybody that I know in my local area, you know, but more and more people are finding out what I do. You know, I don't hide it. I mean, if somebody asks me about it, I'll go ahead and tell them.
Well, a lot of people think there's not room in the Bible for a Bigfoot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's. I don't know why. I mean, that's my goodness. There are a lot of things in the Bible that, hey man, it's in there, so I believe it. You know, floating axe heads and all kind of other stuff. So
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And some things are implied, and some things are told directly, and there's some room in there for a Bigfoot.
Yes. Yes, there is. You know, so that's, yes. As far as me, yeah, I don't see why they. I don't know all these other theories. I mean, I'm not gonna scoff at anybody's theory on what they might think these things are.
Right.
Simply because we don't have the proof that's needed to say, hey, this is what this is.
Right.
Yeah. When you think that there's on the average of 200 new species that are discovered every year, why can't this be one of the species that's out there that's not scientifically documented?
Yes, I agree. I agree 100% on that. I mean, people, you know, scientists, they thought the coelacanth was an extinct species until they found out people in Asia had been eating them since the 1930s.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an undocumented species. You know, the lack of. I wish I should have wrote that quote down. You know, just because there's a lack of evidence doesn't mean that the species doesn't exist, or so. You know, and there's a lot of evidence out there. You know, there are vocalizations that don't match any other known animal. You have there are videos out there. There are a lot of people who actually have pictures. You know, of course, most of us don't show them. I mean,
yeah.
If I won't be criticized, I'll just show it to my wife. And she'll
What does your wife think about this? You being a Bigfoot enthusiast?
She's come around real good. She's actually started going out with me some whenever our group will get together. You know, she started going too. She hasn't seen one. Both my daughters have seen one, but she knows that there's something out there. She's heard stuff. It's a lot of times I don't know how many times, but I've been in bed before. My wife I'll hear her come running down the hall. Come out here and listen to this. Come listen to this. And of course, by the time I get there, I mean, whatever was making noise is already shut up. So
right.
So that's how that is.
So whenever you go out to research, what is your SOP?
Enjoy it.
A pretty good one.
Yeah, that's basically it. I mean, if we're out with with the folks that we go out with Lauren and Michael and of course Dustin and some others, that are around here. We're not just real close together, but I mean we're close enough that we can meet up in Oklahoma or something like that.
Right.
And as far as that, I mean, we're going out, we're going to enjoy each other's company, we're going to have fun with it. And if we get to hear something, that's great. If we don't, we've had a good time anyway.
Right.
But as far as the other stuff, I mean, I don't know. I'm probably, I don't know. I still make too many mistakes with what I do as far as trying to collect all the evidence that might be possible to gather up, because I'm I'm out there. If I see something, great. If I don't, that's fine as well. You know, for all the just to clear things up for everybody, for all the stories that William and I may have, we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours out there where we never heard or seen nothing.
Yeah. Same here. And actually that has to make you kind of question some of the people that every time they go out, something happens to them or they see something. Hey, you take that with a grain of salt, Larry.
Oh, man.
But speaking of evidence that you captured, now you captured what we might classify as whistles from an unknown animal. And if you would, give us a little background of maybe the general area where you were at and what was going on and the time of the day or the time of the night that this happened where you captured this audio.
Longitude and latitude.
What township? Huh? It's actually it was here in Southwest Arkansas. It is in Little River County is where that was actually captured at. It was about 8 o'clock in the morning. I believe it was back in August. What was happening, the reason why I was down there on that Saturday morning is a rural area where this was at. There are some houses around, but they weren't just real close to where I was at. Some trucks were bringing rock in a road in there to a job, and I was down there. I was helping those guys get turned around and stuff. And whenever they have to go back to the pit, I walked down the road. And when I walked down the road, just looking at that job, I heard something splashing through the water. And I thought, well, I spooked up a deer. It's what I was thinking. So I walked on, and whenever I walked back, I started walking down the road that went to the west on that property. And I hadn't gone 30 yards that direction when I heard the first whistle. And when I heard the first whistle, I thought, now that sounds unusual. So I have an audio recorder on my phone. That's how I capture some of the audio that I get. And I recorded that. It was around 8 a.m. in the morning. This was on a Saturday morning when I got that.
Okay. I tell you what, let's go ahead and play this audio. And so that y'all can hear what Stephen heard when he was in the woods. Now, on this audio, if you will notice, you can hear other birds that are whistling. And if you look at the spectrogram, you can see where these whistles are right in the neighborhood of 800 hertz. And that's about what we look for when we are looking for possible Bigfoot vocalizations. And so it's very suspicious as far as it being a fowl out there that's making those whistles. When you heard those whistles, right after you heard them, what did you do? Did you ease back towards your camp, or just what was going through your mind?
With me, I wasn't exactly sure what to think on that. I've heard whistles out there before in the woods that I thought possibly could have been what we were after, but I've never heard them that close. And with this right here, I heard that and I thought, it's not one that I immediately recognized, and I still haven't found anything else to match up to it yet. We've looked on YouTube and stuff, but no, what I did, I eased back to my truck. I wish I could have seen what was whistling, but I didn't want to walk out in that thicket to find out.
Larry, what's your thoughts on those whistles?
My thoughts are that I can't hear them, so I can't tell you.
Oh, you must have not read the email I sent you.
Well, I was kind of busy today. Remember, I got on work about 7:30.
Oh, well, this was about 3 or 4 days ago. I sent you that email.
Oh, well, I forgot to check it.
You saw my name on there, and you said, you kept on scrolling, didn't you?
No. If you saw how many emails I have on my phone, you'd think, does he even check his email? Let me look. 16,718.
Good grief.
I don't know. There it is. Yeah. My bad, Stephen.
No problem. No problem.
It's been a hectic week.
Yeah. But those are, I have not been fortunate enough to receive audio from somebody where it was like suspected Bigfoot that was doing a whistle, or maybe like an owl mimic. And that is something that I have always wanted to compare, is what we think might be a booger mimicking an owl, and then being able to compare on the spectrogram a real owl versus an owl mimic. And so, Stephen, I appreciate this audio, because this is the closest thing that I have gotten that could possibly or even probably be a Bigfoot that's doing whistling that has been captured on audio. So that's a fantastic capture, and I think I'm going to buy you a Sony ICD PX333 recorder, so that you've got a dedicated recorder for audio capture.
Hey, Stephen, if you'll just go out with me and follow behind me, I'll drop one.
Yeah. Well, Larry, I think I've lost as many as what you have, but I remember we got one funded down there around Falk somewhere. We left it sitting on top of the truck. We'd set the recorder on top of the truck. We walked on down the road, and whenever we left that night, we forgot we left. It was still on top of the truck whenever we drove off. So.
Larry's been there and done that, because we went back the next day with the Berchersky brothers, and we walked up and down that road. I don't know We probably spent an hour, all of us fanning out looking for that thing and never found it.
We only drove 2 miles. We went back through there looking with a thermal, thinking it would put off a heat signature.
Really?
Never saw it.
Oh, man.
I don't know.
Oh, good night. Yeah.
We were by a graveyard. It might have been a zombie or something coming back.
No telling what kind of audio may be on that now.
That's true.
Now, Stephen, you had something happen to you when you were asleep in your truck. Why don't you tell us about that?
Okay. I think it was around 2007 when this happened. We'd had a piece of equipment had a flat on it, and I knew I had to change it so we could move it to the job where we'd moved all the rest of the equipment to. And I guess I woke up around 2:00, and it's one of those times whenever you know you got something to do and you wake up super early, but you know if you fall back asleep, you're probably going to be late. So I just went ahead and I got up and I went and took care of the flat, and I changed it, and I drove on over to the other job where the rest of the equipment was at. And I had parked the truck. It was a 450 Ford 1-ton with a diesel engine in it. So I left the truck. I parked the truck where nobody could get around me and go on into the job, where when they saw me there, they'd have to stop and they'd have to wake me up. That's kind of what my thought was. And I don't know. I figure I laid down about 4:00 or something like that, just stretched out in that bench seat. And around 5:30 that morning, something shook that truck. And I thought, oh, it woke me up. Sometimes I can sleep pretty sound. I've slept through tornadoes and stuff like that before.
Yeah.
so I can usually sleep pretty good. But something shook the truck that morning, and it woke me up. And I thought, oh, my coworkers are here. I better get on up. So I got out of the truck and I walked around to the back of the truck expecting to see them. And when I got back there wasn't anybody there. It was another 20 minutes or more before they ever even showed up. So whenever I got out of the truck, I mean, I don't know. Nothing was there, but something shook it and woke me up. So
maybe it's an earthquake.
Yeah, it may have been. I'm not sure what I would have done if I'd walked around to the back of the truck and there'd been something there.
I hear you. That would have been bad. That's one thing I don't like. I don't like being in a vehicle and the thought of something walking up to the window or any of that.
Yeah.
That creeps me out worse than being in a tent or a hammock and something walking up. I don't know why.
Yeah, I've got to confess, I've had I can't hardly, when I get up in the morning and I'm out there in the woods, I can't hardly go back to sleep, man. It's it's hard for me to do. And that may be part of it. I keep thinking about that, what shook that truck that morning and woke me up.
Yeah, that'd make you think, for sure.
Yeah. So.
Going out into the woods and looking for evidence, it's way more complicated and complex than just looking for something as obvious as X's and structures and tree bows. Stephen, when you step off into the woods, what are some of the not so obvious things that you are looking for?
Yeah, for me, I'm usually looking for something that's going to kind of get my attention. If I do see something like that, what I like to look for are open trails. I'll say that they're not, as far as I can tell, they're not man-made. I like to. I'm always going to be looking for subtle stuff on the ground as well. Sometimes you might find an X at the edge of a road or something like that might be partially covered with leaves. I've seen that. This, as far as going out there and finding stuff and walking through the woods and looking for, maybe you find a tree bow, maybe you'll find a twist, maybe you'll find something maybe you'll find a dead limb that's forked and leaned up against a tree, or something like that. But I'll go ahead and that's something I didn't get started on till last year. I probably would have started a few years ago, but I had a knee injury, and it wasn't until last year that I was really able to start walking around in the woods again like I used to before I got as involved in this hobby as what I am now. So, but there's other stuff like that. I mean, the thing that I think I've noticed, I'm not going to say that I'm right on what I think I'm finding or not yet. I don't, like I say, I'm still a beginner with that part of it. But I do know that whenever I get on a spot that I think might be, I think it's possibly could be Bigfoot related, a fellow my size, I can walk through there and I don't get scratched up or anything else on these trails that I found. And I don't find deer stands on them. So.
Yeah. Now,
Stephen, you ain't got to say that you're a beginner or novice. Just go ahead and say, I know what I'm talking about, and I'm an expert.
Like the rest of them.
Yeah, like the rest of them.
You know what, Larry, we should do? We should hold in the community a Bigfoot Olympics. And that way we could award the gold medal to the best caller, the best person that can strategize in an area, the best tracker, the best storyteller, whatever. And we can award those gold medals out, and maybe we could do like these ball teams now and give participation awards.
That'd be great.
Because I think some of these babies would walk around upset if they didn't walk away with a participation award.
I think you're right.
Yeah. I might have some hardware to take on them and give away participation.
I just can't wait till I get past this field research part where I can just sit back and look on the computer at other people's evidence and pick it apart.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot easier than what we're doing.
Yeah.
You see people that somebody will post a picture and they will just get raked over the coals, but people that go out into the field and find legitimate possible evidence, and let's say they take a picture of it, and then they go back home and they look at the picture and they go, this is not what I saw. This picture does not no way do it justice. And they still post it and they get raked over the coals, and then they go away and nobody ever hears from them again. And I think that's really sad. I think that if you go out in the field and you capture some type of evidence and then you try to present it, people ought to realize that they're just looking at a picture or a video or listening to the audio. They didn't feel that vibration in their chest when that scream happened or whatever it is. Yeah. So,
that happens a lot with pictures, because the person that takes a picture and presents a blob squatch or whatever, they have a story. They have, like you said, a vocal. They heard something walking through the woods in that direction, or they found tracks leading that way, and snap a picture and see this thing there. And they're excited about it because it corroborates their story, but people just pick it apart.
They eat their lunch.
Yeah.
Well,
no doubt.
I tell you, you captured out in the field with Will some eye shine, and it was pretty cool. And just to be able to hear the narrative of y'all talking about what y'all are seeing, it's pretty awesome stuff. Give us some background about approximately where y'all were at and the time of the night and what was going on when y'all saw this eye shine.
Okay. Well, that took place December 21st, 2018. It was somewhere around 10:30 to 11 o'clock at night. We'd started out. William came up here, and actually my youngest daughter and one of her friends were with us to begin with. And William, he did some calls, and we got a response from a pretty good ways off. And then my wife called because of a family situation there. So we brought my daughter and her friend back home so she could keep an eye on our son. And William and I, we went back out there. When we went back out, knowing the area, I drove around to where I thought we could get closer to where that vocalization came from. And when we got out there, we'd stopped on the road, and William, we listened for a little bit, and William caught the eye shine with a spotlight. The flashlight I was using at the time was a Bushnell torch, 1500 lumen, and my light would not reach him.
Uh-huh.
That was so it wasn't until William put the spotlight on him that we actually got the eye shine. The other thing to go with it was we heard some beats on a dead tree actually, and I don't have that in the video, the sound of that, but that also took place as well.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, we're going to play this video, and it's a little over 3 minutes long. So we'll go ahead and play this video now.
We're changing to orange. Where there you are. I got you. And there's some right behind it. A little bigger. There's two more right behind it. We got Bigfoot. We got two Bigfoot. We got two Bigfoot. Okay, see the two? I'm still just seeing one right now. The two, the one behind it is taller. Wow. If there's not Bigfoot, I'm going to be surprised. Holy cow. That sucker's standing up, ain't he? Yep. Trying to keep the stinking camera on him. All right, and I've got the Cicada eyes right behind him. When the eyes start changing orange, it means he's getting pissed off. Wow. Can't believe they're still looking in the light like that. That blanket just blows your mind, doesn't it? Yep. I'm gonna knock. You tell me what they do. Okay. Got him? Yeah, I still got him. Sucker's still there staring at me. Up. Just left. Oh, he's back. I thought he left. Yeah, there he is. Yep, there's 3. Where'd he go? I lost him. There he is. Right there. There's one behind him. Those are deer. They've been gone. They actually changed to orange. I've seen that happen before. That one that I saw. See what he does. Changing to orange. Changing to orange. Look here. Can you see it? See him change color? Wow. Wish that sucker would answer. Give a call back. Something. Okay, he's down. He is. Oh, there he goes back. He's moving farther away. He's getting farther away. Yep. I think he went backwards. Yeah, he's farther away now. Yep. Okay, the other one. Okay, there he is right there. Yep. Go. Yep. They do whatever I'm not. Did they do anything?
That was pretty awesome, Stephen.
Stephen, I'm disappointed.
Disappointed.
I wanted to see a Robert Dobson. I wanted to see you run over there at it to see what it was. Were y'all able, looking on the computer, it's a little pixelated, were y'all able to see anything besides the eye shine with the spotlight?
No, we really weren't. We weren't able to see a big massive figure. I don't know if that video. I don't remember if that video actually shows it, but I think it was at one point. There were actually 3 sets of eyes out there. There was one set of eyes. It would have been to the left of the one that I focused in on.
Yeah,
that was there earlier, and it backed up and went away. And there was also another one in there about half the height of that set of eyes that I was focused on as well. But the distance that was, I knew approximately where they were. And I mean, if that would have been 40 yards, I mean, my light would have lit them up, or the spotlight would have lit up if it had been whatever it was, you know.
Yeah.
The spotlight would have lit it up for sure. So I wanted to know how far it was, because I wasn't exactly sure the distance. I think I had to work. That was on a Friday night. I think I had to work on a Saturday, so it was actually Sunday afternoon before I was able to get back out there. And when I stepped that off, it was in between 185 and 225 yards was the distance.
That's a long way.
Yeah.
So how tall did y'all think the one that stayed in the picture the most, how tall y'all think it was?
We were thinking 7 foot or better is what we were thinking.
I tell you, y'all are pretty brave dudes to sit there and let those creatures know that you knew that y'all were there by putting the light on them and by doing the knocks you were doing. And I wished I could whistle like you, or Will, or whoever whistled, because I can't whistle.
What that actually was, Mark, was those little recorder, those little single note flute type recorder things you give to kids.
Yeah,
that's what that whistle was.
Now, Mark,
maybe I should get one of them.
Yeah.
So was the video the total length of time y'all saw the eye shine, or did it go longer than that?
It actually went a little bit longer than that. They seemed to hold up right there, and they weren't giving up their spot, I guess. It was
Yeah.
So
Well, I guess at close to 200 yards, they
yeah,
probably felt pretty safe, and
yeah.
they probably had an exit route out of there if y'all started moving in their direction.
Oh yeah, they do. I mean, there's a pretty good trail back there behind where they were at. It's one big enough that any of us could walk down, no problem.
So
And
when you went back Sunday, did you see any tracks or anything?
yeah, the three-toed track that I sent you a picture of, I found that on Sunday.
Okay.
And my daughter also found when I went walking out there, my daughter and son, she stayed in the truck and she drove on down the road just looking around, and she managed to find about a 15-inch track in the ditch. And I did cast it, and I also broke it. So,
Was this a three-toed or a?
no, that was her five-toed track, but the
Okay.
three-toed track, basically all I was able to get off it was just the toe impressions. Now the big toe on it, it's 2¼ inches wide, and the width of just the three toes is about 7¼ 7½ across three toes.
So what do you think's up with that?
I don't know. There are quite a few theories out there, and I'm sure there could be. I'm sure somebody's right. But whether it's inbreeding or different species, we honestly just don't know for sure
Right.
why some of them only have three toes. But
Well, during the heyday of the Falcon Monster, one of the tracks they found was three-toed track, right?
yeah, yep.
you
Yes,
know
yes, it was.
they talk about animals, including us, that are allergic to like shellfish. You can get that affirmity that, to where it affects, your toes and your fingers, if that is a part of your diet. And it could be that they still have five toes, but the other toes are just kind of deformed up, and they don't put no weight on them, and they're just bent up a little bit. And
Right.
so there's, like you said, there's all kind of theories.
Oh,
That
and
are-
there's all kind of things that could happen. I mean, a cottonmouth could have bit it on the
Yeah,
foot. And
absolutely.
two of the toes rotted off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But it's all interesting anyway, that three-toed track was found years ago, and then you still found one in the past few years.
Yeah.
So it could either be him, or it could be a descendant, or just an anomaly.
Yeah, that's we don't. There's so much that we just don't know. We have bits and pieces of evidence here and there. Maybe if we got it all together someday, and we had drove somebody crazy until they put it all together, we might.
That's true.
Acquired knowledge of these creatures promotes more questions and the motivation to get out there in the woods and find those answers. Stephen, what questions stand out in the forefront to you that you were pursuing the answers for?
I would really like to know and prove for myself, that these, I don't necessarily believe that they migrate, but I believe that they have travel routes and they have patterns that they follow. And that's I don't know, maybe my theory at the moment. Because they seem to have patterns from what I've noticed with them. And with this, of course I would love to know exactly what they are. Are they just a higher primate, or is it something else? Who's actually right on that? But I don't know. There's just a lot of questions that I have to have. Do they really function in a family unit the way that I think they do?
Uh-huh.
I'd like to prove that or disprove it,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Whatever the truth is, that's what I want is the truth about it. So,
Unfortunately, to me, Bigfoot's like a maze, and as you go through it, acquiring knowledge, you come out of it and you're right back at square one.
yeah.
Getting right back into it again.
Yeah.
The way it seems.
Our little infamous saying that we all have in our inner loop is the more that we discover and find out, the more that we realize that we don't know anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. With these right here, I don't know. They seem to follow patterns. I mean, where our ground zero area, the area that William and I, Reese, that we call ground zero, it's everything. Everything really picks up from about February to April on toward the middle of May, and about the end of May to June. I mean, everything just goes dead.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, my thought is, I think they go to one of the local rivers for a time, but I haven't been able to prove or disprove that. Yeah. At the other place where I lived before, everything was always heard all the vocals in the fall of the year, starting in October, November, December. I always heard vocals. It always started with I'd hear the neighbors' dogs start barking and wonder why are the dogs barking again?
Yeah.
And then you'd hear some coyotes kick in, and you'd hear something else that didn't quite match up with the coyotes. It was like it had a different tone to it or something. And then, some of the howls and some of the vocals that I'd heard, and a bunch of that stuff I can't do. But I kind of wish I
could. From what I hear, you're a pretty good caller.
They're being generous there.
Tell us about some more experiences that you have had in the woods that you feel like was Bigfoot activity and interaction going on around you.
Yeah, so I'd had my sighting in 2009, and I don't know. I guess I'll go ahead and go here with this. But I'd had a couple of things that had happened. My daughter had the sighting in 2008, and I had one in 2009. But I'd had a couple of things happen before. One of them being that something shook my truck and woke me up one morning about 5:30. But in '99, I had something that happened to me. I was at work, and I think I'd been there an hour, maybe I'd been there 2 hours. I honestly don't remember how long I'd been there. But I had to go to the brush. So I think you probably get my drift on why I had to go to the brush. So, and I walked on off, I'm going to say at least 100 yards. Might even went a little farther than that, and everything. I took care of what I needed to, and everything's normal. Nothing out of the ordinary about it. When I was walking back about halfway back, I started, I don't know, I started feeling different. Started feeling, I'm not exactly sure how to explain it. I started feeling something. And by the time I made it back to the first machine or the loader, when I made it to that thing, I stopped and I sat down on the steps of the fuel tank on the thing because I was feeling bad. Hollered at my dad on a little two-way radio that we had at the time. Told him I wasn't feeling good. Asked him if he'd come run my machine for a while, and he said yeah. So I sat there just a little bit longer, and I said, well, I'll go to the work truck, and maybe I can sit in it, lay down, take a nap. I'll get to feeling better here in a little bit. My trip from the loader crossing the road was kind of like a toddler. Well, before I started walking, I I said a simple prayer, said, Lord, please don't let me die today. I had no idea what was going on, but I knew something. I'd never experienced anything like this before. And my trip across the road was kind of like a toddler when they're first learning how to walk and how they're so unsteady and off balance. That's how that was. It was a journey. I was having trouble seeing. That time I finally made it to the truck and I sat down, and that's when I experienced bowel spasms and vomiting. I broke out in red bumps all over my body. The bumps that I had on my head, they were itching like my head was on fire. My fingers swelled up, my toes swelled up, and my lips swelled up.
Wow.
And then after that, I was experiencing labored breathing, and whenever I was having the labored breathing, I would lose consciousness. And finally, they came and checked on me and realized that I wasn't in very good shape, and they got me to the hospital. And it was in the hospital that my heart nearly stopped beating. The ER doctor thought I was going to die. They're in the hospital. So, and honestly, I had absolutely no idea what was going on, what caused it. But there I was, 27 years old, I think, and here I am in the ER. Man.
So what did they diagnose?
Our family doctor, he at the time, he looked through all the medical books he had, and the only thing he could come up with is it was possibly a mass or a mast cell release. So he didn't know. The ER doctor didn't know what was going on with me.
Yeah.
So, and it wasn't until I didn't discover the Bigfoot Outlaws until 2017. And I remember hearing Barry and Kumbo talk about infrasound and how it affected one of the ladies that researched with them named Kelly.
Yeah.
And after I heard that, I remember coming home and telling my wife that day, I told her what they had said, on the show. And I said, do you think that possibly could have been what happened to me? And she's like, won't you ask him and find out? It's like,
Yeah.
I didn't have any way of getting hold of Barry Kumbo. So.
Right. Well, it's definitely possible, but you're lucky it happened then and not now, or they'd have you in the hospital on a respirator saying you had COVID.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Have
has that happened to you anymore?
No, nothing to that effect.
Okay.
That's, I was wondering, was there some kind of weed that I'd never had an allergic reaction to before that maybe I had a reaction to that day? My dad kept saying, it says anaphylactic shock. I said, well, nothing bit me and nothing stung me that morning. Nothing.
Yeah.
I've been bit and stung by just about everything that's out there.
Yeah.
It's just.
Well, initially, that's what I would have thought with your fingers swelling up and tingling and your lips and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But, wow, I've never encountered anything like that, and I don't want to.
No, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. The way I felt, that was horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, that knocked me down for a few days. When I got home, I mean, I'd stay up for 4 or 5 hours and I'd have to take another nap. It drained me that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, if they hadn't been there, that's the other thing the doctor told me. He said, if this ever happens to you again and you're out here alone, said you're probably not going to live through it. When you're a young man and the doctor tells you that, you tend to put your priorities. You get your priorities lined up there.
Right. So have you been back to this general area any at all, or you kind of got that marked off to avoid?
I've been there, but I hadn't done any walking around. I mean, if that truly was infrasound, and I mean that's I did reach out to some people, and they tend to think they thought that it possibly was infrasound or probably was infrasound. Is what was what I was feeling the effects of that day.
Right.
Which infrasound, I mean, that's something that's well documented. I mean, there's a
Absolutely.
whole list of there's a whole list of creatures that can produce infrasound.
Yeah.
So it's scientifically proven that there are creatures who can do that. And seeing there's even one human being that I know who can produce infrasound.
Tell that story for us, Stephen.
In 2013, our family went to Branson, and we went to the Pierce Arrow Theater. And the bass singer for that group at that time, I don't know if he's still with that group or not, is a guy named Tim Storms. And Tim Storms, he has the deepest voice in the world. And the lead singer, I believe, was who it was. He was kind of the spokesman for the group. He said, "We're in this song that we're going to sing now. Tim is going to hit his deepest note." He said, "You'll no longer be able to hear him singing, but you'll be able to feel it in your seats." And when he did, you could feel that in your seat. And anybody wants to look it up, you can look that up on YouTube. And when he hits his deepest note, you're not going to hear it because it drops below 20 hertz, which falls out of the range of what humans can hear.
You know, for me, infrasound is just something that's really interesting, and I would it's too easy to sit there and say, to form an opinion and put it in concrete about infrasound, and you see a lot of fighting going on in the community about infrasound. But I have actually been in the woods with someone that I feel like that's what they were experiencing. It wasn't to the degree that with what happened to you, but there was those signs that infrasound he was having the symptoms that, because he later went into shock. And so, and then you hear accounts to where it may be multiple people that are together, and it only affects one of the people or two of the people, and one of the people are not affected. I would really like to have someone on our show sometime that has a little bit of expertise, scientifically involved, with the infrasound, and to help explain it so laymen like me can maybe understand it a little bit more. So if you do experience something like that in the woods, you have some knowledge of what to do, or how to help somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At the time that happened to me, I mean, Bigfoot was nowhere on my radar. So, and I have experienced some other stuff, nothing like that, as far as what I think possibly could have been done by Bigfoot. The most recent was actually last year in Oklahoma. We were on an outing, and Lauren, she could feel something where she was at, and she'd asked for me to come out there, and sure enough, I got out there where she was at, and I could feel what she was feeling, and what we were feeling was maybe a 2 or a 3, and I pointed to the spot where I believe this was coming from, and when I pointed, it went to a 10.
Oh.
Yeah. It was I fully understood what people were talking about, said they'd been back, because I could feel this thing, and Lauren, she hasn't had that face-to-face sighting yet that she would like to have. So I turned around hoping, I'm thinking Bigfoot. So I turned around hoping that maybe this thing would pop its head out. She'd get to see it or something like that. When I turned around, I felt this on my back. I felt it from my shoulders to my hips. And it was just wave after wave after wave, like a vibration is what I was feeling. So, and we didn't hear it, but we could feel it.
Wow. Hey, do you have any other stories that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, I don't know if this is infrasound or what this may fall under, but William and I, we had been to our ground zero area, and there was nothing going on there. So I told William, I said, well, we'll ride around up here north of the area. And when we got on the road that I wanted to get on, we gone down it maybe 150 yards, 200 yards, and something whistled from the woods. I was probably going 5 miles an hour. We were just creeping along just to see if we could see. It didn't matter, if we saw deer or coon or whatever. We're just out riding around looking and listening. And so for whatever reason I did it, I whistled back at it. And the next thing that happened was everything goes dead silent. I mean, all the frogs, all the crickets, everything out there that's making noise, it shut up immediately. So, and I don't think it was my whistle that shut everything up.
Well, that's something me and you have experienced, Larry. And
it is.
Well, maybe I'll just speak for myself. It seems like whenever some type of possible Bigfoot activity is going on around you, everything gets quiet, even the insects.
Yeah. That's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that eerie quiet. I mean, it was in September 2017. We were here at home. I was in the house and the kids were inside the house. My wife was cleaning the pool. And she comes in the house. She says, come out here and listen to this. So I get up, walk outside where she's at, and I listen for a few seconds. And I said, what were you wanting me to hear? She said, listen at that. There's no noise out here. No frogs, no crickets, no nothing. I mean, it was just absolutely dead silent. And it was so quiet that she noticed it.
Do you ever do any research around your house?
I'll do some walking through the woods. I really try not to do anything like we do at Ground Zero or anything like that around my house. I don't do any calls or anything here.
Right.
I have deer season. If we harvest a deer, we have a place on the power line that we'll put out what we can't use on the power line. And I did put a deer that got hit on the highway out there one time. I drug it. I put it down there, and I set a game camera on it, and I had the game camera set to video, and my game camera would take 15-second videos, and I had the game camera pointed right at the deer, and I would drive by it every 2 or 3 days and see if anything had started in on that deer yet. And for the first 6 or 7 days or whatever many days it was, nothing touched it. Buzzards didn't touch it. Coyotes didn't touch it. And I think it was on day 9 when I went back and checked it again. The deer carcass had been moved about 30 yards into the woods, and I couldn't find any drag marks. I should have seen drag marks if it was coyotes or whatever, through the leaves.
Yeah.
But I didn't. So I went ahead and I pulled my camera, and I had over 500 15-second videos of the sky.
Well,
Yeah. So I thought, how great is this? But I couldn't stop watching them. I'm thinking, man, maybe one of them made a mistake. I had to change batteries in my card reader and all that good stuff. So it was, I don't. So I haven't done that since.
So did you aim the game camera wrong, or did something move the game camera?
Something moved it.
Okay.
Something moved it. Because I mean, I've never missed that bad on setting the game camera up before. So.
I understand. That's difficult to do whenever you got it on a tree.
Yeah.
Have you had any luck using game cameras at all?
Yes. Yeah, we have.
Well, don't tell people that because they think it's impossible. And we don't want to break it to them that they do work occasionally.
Yeah, they work. They will work. So it's the thing that William and I do with the game cameras, we don't strap them to trees. We leave them loose. And to be honest about it, we don't go to great lengths to try to hide them. I mean, we put treats out there, and here's the game. So I mean, if you can take the treat without us catching you on camera, then it's yours.
Right.
So that's kind of the game we play. You know, I don't know. It's just, I know deer hunters, whenever they go in the woods in the fall of the year, you know, the game cameras are always strapped to the tree.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And, you know, if these creatures are as smart as what we think they are, then I don't know that it's too much of a stretch of the imagination to think they might associate somebody with a gun out there with that camera, especially when they're strapped to trees. So we don't strap them. We just leave them out there loose. I mean, we've had them covered up with bark. We've had the front of the camera covered up with a piece of wood before. We've had them moved. I don't know, maybe they were thrown 15, 20 feet from where they were originally at. Yeah. But yeah, sometimes we get some stuff on those game cameras.
There you go, Mark.
Yep.
Now what do you got to say?
Well, you know, the thing that I have to say is I know that the Olympic project has had very good success with game cameras, and what they share with the world is just the tip of the iceberg. And so, but it's like when we were talking about the ridicule and getting raked over the coals for a picture. It's just, if this community was not so hard on each other and there wasn't so many jealous and envious people out there that hates to see other people have success, then I feel like that there would be a whole lot more evidence out there on the internet.
Well, guess what?
What, Larry?
It's gonna continue to happen because they're out there.
Well, Larry, that's why we usually kick them to the curb.
It's all good.
Yep, it's all good.
Did Stephen leave?
No, I'm still here.
Oh, all right.
I thought maybe you kicked him to the curb.
I try not to kick anybody to the curb.
Yeah, me either. Well, Larry,
everybody's got stuff they can offer, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't care where your knowledge level is at. You can learn from someone that's just getting started in this and that has a fresh outlook and not so opinionated. I mean, I learned that with Spencer Jameson, and I think that's why me and you gravitated so fast and so much to Spencer, because of what he has to offer.
Well, look at some of the greatest scientific discoveries were usually done by making a mistake on an experiment or something. They messed up on an ingredient or did something wrong, and it led them to discovering something very important. I mean, a novice in this can bring some information to the most experienced person out there by doing something different. Because what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, we're going to have to adapt and change some of our theories, some of our actions in the woods to try to get a different result.
You're speaking to the choir with that, and I don't know. I just actually I want to go learn from Will and Steven. I think we ought to put them on the spot, Larry, and ask them when we can show up down there and throw our hammocks up somewhere. I'm
going to show up, and I'm going to get out the camera, and I'm going to sit down and shut up and say, all right, show me what you got.
Yeah.
Well, Larry, I think we better get to the questions. And so if anyone has any questions, put them in all caps, and Miss Sally is sending them to us. And have you got those pulled up yet, Larry?
Shoot, yeah. They're in my email. I'm just trying to scroll through and get to them. That was a joke, Mark. You're supposed to laugh. All right, let me turn this off so it don't shut off. And I'm almost there.
Okay.
You ready for this, Stephen?
Oh, I hope so.
Well, you better buckle up.
Uh-oh.
Here we go. David Parker said, how big was it and what color are they in your area? I don't know if he's talking about the one that crossed the road, the one that your daughter saw, but just pick whichever one you want to and tell us how big it was and if there's different colors that you see or if they're all same color, whatever.
Okay, the one that crossed the road in front of me, it was on all fours, and the top of its back was about the height of the top of a picnic table. So I've always thought that was a young one. The one that my youngest daughter saw at Thornton's Wells, which was actually December 23rd, 2018. She saw it. She was at the boat ramp. If y'all been there, to Thornton's Wells, down the hill from the tanks. She was up just a little bit above the boat ramp, and she got a really good look at it through the FLIR. And the next day I asked her to go to her room and draw a picture of what she saw. I didn't want to influence her in any way with the picture that she drew. And in that, she drew William as a stick figure for size comparison to what she saw. And she's told me more than once, Dad, I want to wait a while before I see another one.
Okay, Central Florida Bigfoot. And I think we can all chime in on this, Larry. If someone has a photo, they should show it. Isn't that about what all of this is about?
Well,
and
Stephen, go ahead, Stephen. You answer before Mark does.
William and I have shown some photos. William is, I guess I'll speak about another show, but William has been on Duke Sullivan's show or World Bigfoot Radio a few times. And some of the pictures that we've captured off our game cameras have been shown on those shows. And I also want to go back. I didn't address the colors on for the first question. Uh, most of what I've seen have been black and dark brown. There's also there are some I haven't seen the red ones, but I've been told about red ones. And also I saw something one night that was it was either real light gray or it was white. That was uh, that was one that kind of it took me a little while to settle down after that one that night. I was a whole lot closer to it than what I was comfortable with.
There's nothing wrong with that. All right, Mark, why don't you want to show a picture?
Well, the only picture I've shown is thermal footage of what I got, and that's the only thing that I've ever gotten that I could say be a picture.
Well, here's what I want to say. To some people, showing a photo ain't what it's all about. To some people, they're out there to prove it to themselves. And some people are out there to prove it to everybody else, and that's fine. If they want to show it, that's fine. It's usually a personal choice of why you're doing it and why you're there, how good the photo is. I mean, to you, being there with a story behind it, it may prove something to you personally, and you may show it to 100 people, and they say, okay, it's a blob squatch in the woods. So what? I mean, some photos are only personal, I guess. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
I do. And it's like what you said earlier, Larry. It's usually because you show it is because there is a story behind it. There was other things going on. And so that's they're collaborating their story and showing what they heard coming from that direction or whatever.
Yeah. I know I've seen people that were reluctant to release evidence that released evidence because they were coaxed into it and got crucified for it.
Yeah.
And it was 100% legit evidence.
Mhm.
And it's just going to make that person next time they get something, I'm not sharing it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't blame them.
Yeah. And we have heard that before.
Yeah.
And
From many people.
yeah. And that's why when people sent us vocalization evidence that I personally tell them that this is your property and I will run it on the spectrogram and give you my opinion, but it's up to them if they want to share it. I'm not going to put out their property. You know,
Right.
I want them to look at it and come to their own conclusions, whether if it is possible Bigfoot activity or not, and let them share it.
All right. On to the next question. Oh, man. Why'd you give me this one? Bethanalu Wu. Have any of you been to Kings Crowder's Mountain, North Carolina to search?
I have not.
I have not.
I have not either.
But
if it's a hot spot, we will get there.
yeah. Send us an email. Okay, CD Squatcher says when you do a voice graft, why is the sound always below other environmental sounds? I'm not sure how to answer that. Only thing that I know how to answer that is every animal has their own frequency signature. And birds and crickets will be way up in the hertz. And that's why I brought out what I did when we listened to what Stephen captured with the whistles, because they were not. They were in that range that we are looking for when we are looking for possible Bigfoot vocalizations. So I hope that answers your question, CD.
Well, also, the reason why they're always in that range is because you cull everything that's not in that range. So what you're showing is in that range is why you're showing it, and why they're always in that sound area, the megahertz, hertz. All right. Bomber says, Mark and Larry Duke from World Bigfoot Radio says the Googway. Is that how you say it?
I don't know.
Stephen knows. Yeah.
The Googway.
Googway, a.k.a. face eaters, communicate and hunt using whistles. Sorry, this isn't a question, but it's info that may help your guest. There you go, Stephen. That was for you. You know, the whistles also, I can remember in Indian lore that whenever the Native Americans heard the whistles coming from the woods, that they would all run and hide and congregate together because they thought that the Sasquatch people were coming to take a child or something.
Ah, okay.
I've heard that story also.
Yeah,
but
so
we'll go with a good way.
Okay, so me going back to the truck was probably a good idea, huh?
Yeah, you're about to get your face eaten off. They were hungry. Uh-oh, Mark.
Okay, Gary Johnson asked, do you think the one and only Bigfoot has friends to rely on?
Well, I think that was satire, and it was uncaught.
You know, that...
There's only one Bigfoot, and that's Patty. I think I saw several of his statements in the chat, and most of it was kind of poking fun, and it was uncalled.
Oh, okay. You're fired, Sally.
All right. Well, then we didn't read down far enough. All right. David Blaylock asks, are they flesh and blood in your opinion, Stephen?
Yes.
Why didn't you say they were in Bethlehem or something?
Like I said, I'm not going to argue with anybody over what their theories are on what they think they are. I mean, but it's but for me, yeah, I think they're flesh and blood. I mean, from what I've seen, from the stuff I've seen on the trails and things like that, the footprints, the fact that they'll take treats. I mean, everything to me kind of points that they're flesh and blood creature. You know,
so
they're smart.
You're saying that aliens could have dropped them off here to mine, then? I'm kidding, Stephen. He did not say that, and I didn't say that.
No, I've never seen one step out of a UFO. So.
All right.
Okay, our buddy Pappy Two Bears. Has Stephen tried to establish an ongoing relationship with any Pacific group?
Yes, that's what we're attempting to do in the Ground Zero area. We've been out there for a few years, and they honestly they seem to be more fond of William than me. There've been two separate occasions. There've been times whenever William's been out there by himself, and I've gone in a day later or whatever, and I found footprints before where right there beside where William had parked his truck, where one had obviously showed up after he'd been there. And another time, William didn't. Another time William didn't tell me that he was going out there, and I showed up the next day in the afternoon the next day to look around, and I noticed the tire tracks, and I was pretty sure that was Williams. And so I went ahead and I got out of the truck and I walked around, and I found where something had walked up the gravel road, probably about 80 yards up there to where he had parked his truck. And I called William later on. I said, "Hey, had you been out here?" He's like, "Yeah, I went out there for just a little bit." I said, "Yeah, you had another visitor." So I don't know if they're checking William out for possible mate or what there. So.
It may be it. So how are y'all trying to establish a relationship? Are y'all doing it through routine? Y'all doing it through treats?
Yeah.
Habituation?
Treats and routine. You know, we I don't know, we're not carrying bags of feed out there, stuff like that, but we do use treats. That's how we're trying to have a interaction with them. I mean, I've actually had them. I've had them before whenever I've been out there. I was out there, I don't know, a year or more ago, and I kind of had a little bit of a cough at the time. And whenever I knew I could feel the cough coming on, so I exaggerated my cough, and it kind of sounded like a deer blowing. Is basically what I turned it into.
Yeah.
And when I did that, I got an answer from the woods. I thought, wow, that's cool. And right after that answer, I heard William's call. And I thought, man.
Wow.
And after William's call, I heard what I usually think are hoot owls laughing. That started up.
Yeah.
And all of this suddenly ended with the second loudest tree knock I've ever heard in my life. Now, this call was so spot on for William that I called him and I said, "Hey, man, so are you down here messing with me?" And I heard him calling for one of his dogs, and I knew he was home. So it's kind of
right,
man. But yeah, they had William's call just spot on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So that kind of tells you they connected the dots and associated you and being there, you know, and William, and and did that mimic.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little nugget of knowledge for all of us to take away from that.
We need some nuggets.
Yeah. we may need some crack before all this is said and done, Larry.
I don't know. All right. The filmer of bobcats. Do you know filmer of bobcats?
I don't think I do.
He says, "Can you describe their faces?"
Sure. Some of these, some of the Bigfoot that I've seen, they actually have a face that looks a whole lot like a gorilla. They have the heavy brow ridge. The hair comes down to a widow's peak. They don't have hair on their forehead, around their eyes or nose. I'm not sure if they have any hair for the mustache part. It's very little. But their nostrils just go straight into their face like a gorilla. And then there's also the other type that I have seen, one with a round head, and it had a big old nose on it. No, its face had hair on it. The nose didn't, but the rest of the face did. So,
all right.
Okay. Con Squatch asked Steven, is your home near a rural area or in a rural area?
Yes. Yeah. It is. The other home that I actually lived in, it was actually in the city limits of a small town around here.
Uh-huh.
Are you around any creeks or rivers?
Yes. Yeah, I have one that's
Now I know
it's not
exactly where you live.
you got me spotted there on Google, huh? On Google Maps. Yeah, it actually has there are several creeks around here. I actually have one that goes through my property. It's and it has two springs that help feed it.
Does it have any fish in it?
No.
you just lost Larry.
Never mind.
Well, the pond that helps feed the creek, it has fish in it. So.
Okay. All right. All right. Filmer Bobcats ask, is it possible to filter out the birds and cicadas in an audio, Mark?
Yes, it is. And if you look...
But do you lose the integrity of the actual recording you're trying to keep?
No, because you're not putting noise reduction on it to filter it out. You're just removing those hertz we talked about earlier with the higher hertz. You can take out the higher hertz and leave in everything else in and keep the integrity of the audio. And you will see that at the bottom of the screen where we're scrolling, you can contact us on that email address, and we would love to be able to show you how to analyze audio. And if you go to our Facebook page under the Files tab, we have information there, but we will be glad to help you one-on-one and teach you and show you exactly what we do and everything that we do. We don't try to hide anything, and we will show you what we do.
Well, Mark will, because I do good to clip out what I'm wanting to, and I get it to
Mark. we can't help laziness, can we?
That's right.
Okay,
David Parker asks, what is the largest footprint you have found?
For me personally, it's 18 by a little over 8.
Wow, that's a big one.
Yeah, we only found that on that year. We only found that track one time, and that was after William had brought a young man he goes to church with out there to the area. And we went back. I think it was on a Monday. William had him out there, and on Wednesday when we met up out there again, there were trees broken and stuff in the trail, and we found that footprint.
He was trying to send y'all a message.
Yeah, he had my attention. I'll say that.
He was saying, "Don't bring that guy back out here."
Yeah.
All right. Ruger Ridge asks us, have you found any odd animal kills?
We did have something that wound up getting gutted out there this year. I don't know what gutted it, but we did find that. I have found some deer carcasses and stuff before. Nothing. I've never really found anything just real great. I've seen pictures, of some stuff that other people have found that's pretty good, but I haven't found anything just real fascinating.
Right.
Okay, Linda Terry asked, Stephen, what kind of treats, if you don't mind sharing, that y'all use out in the field?
Oh man, where's William at when I need? Small candy bars.
Okay.
Yeah. Will that work? Will that work?
That works.
Fun size.
Are they Snickers?
Yep.
Well, Steven, I gotta tell you,
well,
me
you're
and William are never gonna have any more Snickers left out there because I'm gonna follow you on. I'll take them for myself.
Oh man, yeah, but that seems to work. It's I was skeptical about it at first, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's not always a Bigfoot that takes them either. I mean, if crows ever figure out you're putting that out there, man, good luck trying to keep them away.
yeah.
And if Larry Porch ever finds out.
And then just double back on him and pick up his recorder that he lost.
There you go.
All right. David Parker asks, do the adult males there use coyotes to run the deer? Have you ever?
I can't 100% confirm it, but I know that there seems to be some association with the coyotes and the Bigfoot. It's we've heard them in there before with the cow. We've actually heard them with the coyotes before.
Uh-huh.
One of the thing I heard, I was out there one night. I had walked in. I heard a pack of coyotes, and I was out there by myself. I didn't have a light, didn't have my phone. I didn't have anything with me. And I heard something in there in the pack of coyotes, and it has a high pitch voice. Man, I wish I had that recorded because whatever that high pitched voice is, that thing makes my skin crawl. It's when I heard that thing the third time with the coyotes, I'd said it. I'd been there long enough. I was ready to go.
Yeah. Here's what we got to do.
Yeah.
We've got to set up some live traps and we got to catch some coyotes.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to strap them with a GoPro and let them go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And make a GPS tracker too, so we can get our GoPro back. But they do seem to be associated in close proximity. The coyotes and the Bigfoot seem to be. They may not be. I don't know. One may be following the other for food. I don't know. But maybe that's the way to get some good footage.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a great idea.
I wish we could afford to do it. Those GoPros are kind of expensive to just watch walk off on a coyote.
Yeah, they are. But
it would be interesting.
Oh, it would be. Who knows? I mean, you might get the next greatest video by doing that.
All right.
Okay. Larry Eom. I think this is referring to when you heard a creature mimicking Will's call. Do you think that they were trying to call you in?
I don't know. That could have been possible. I know when I heard that night, I had a big smile on my face. Because, I mean, there for a little bit, I seriously thought William was messing with me. I thought he's over there messing with me. So that could have been it. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I mean, we really haven't had anything just real aggressive happen. We have heard a few growls, but as far as being bluff charged or anything like that out there, that we haven't had that.
All right. Still Crazy Chris asked, do you use any safety measures, a gun, bear spray, anything like that whenever y'all go out?
I usually have a sidearm with me. If I'm going to be walking these trails, I always have some type of sidearm or something with me, And if I go out at night, the light that I carry now, it's a 1250 lumen flashlight, and it's rechargeable. So you use it on Thursday night or Friday night, and you can charge it back up, and it'll be just as bright on Saturday night.
Right.
So because of the flash, I mean the flash from your cell phone will actually scare them sometimes.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I've seen the boar down there, and I would want something on my side. I guarantee you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the gun I carry is probably not big enough, but it'll make noise anyway. So.
Yeah. Marquis to Farmer asked, does Stephen think Bigfoot marks certain people? How some people seem to see them a lot when they go out into the woods or being followed by them. Do you think some people are marked by them? Do you even have an opinion on it?
I've heard that tossed around before. Maybe, I know, like I mentioned before, on two separate occasions, I've gone and when William's been there by himself and found evidence that a Bigfoot has showed up after he left. So maybe in that way, they recognize him, and for some reason for whatever reason, I don't know, I don't know if it's an attraction or they just like him or what, but yeah, so I guess that could be possible, as far as those in this area.
Uh-huh.
All right, Mark. You can have that one.
What? David's?
Yeah, because I don't understand it.
Okay. David Merrier asked, ever had batteries stolen from places you've lost recorders? And I don't understand it either, because if we lost the recorders, we don't know whether the batteries were stolen out of them.
That's true. But if you'll go to a certain national forest up a steep slope and find that one I'd lost 2 years ago, you'll be able to see.
Yeah. No, I haven't had any batteries taken out of a recorder that I've ever set out. It's
game cameras.
Friend of mine.
What about game cameras?
No, no, I haven't had the battery stolen out of them, but I have. I've had two cameras that 2 years in a row that I don't use them anymore. For some reason, they went bad. Two separate cameras, 2 years in a row. So,
yeah.
A friend of mine named Michael Waldy. Now he's had some interesting experiences with his audio recorders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets out there a lot and does some pretty intuitive stuff.
Yeah.
He comes up with some great ideas, definitely.
Oh, he does. He does. I guarantee you, I can't wait for him to get his squatch truck on the road and have it all complete, because that'll be I think everybody else might want to use some of what he's come up with on there.
I guarantee it. From what I hear about his thermal invention there, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I wished I could do stuff like that, but I can't, and I can't get Mark interested in doing nothing but watching YouTube all day. All right, David Parker. He kind of makes a statement, or he says they are attracted to empaths. Does your group have an empath?
Not necessarily sure that we have an empath. There are some people who are sensitive to things. If that helps. So, and I don't know if I can really explain it any more than that, but there's some people who are sensitive to stuff. So.
Well, that was the last question, and we're about running out of time. But we would like to give you this opportunity, Stephen, to say any final comments that you would like to leave our audience with?
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. I've enjoyed it. It's been fun. I guess if I'm going to mention anything, it's keep an eye on Michael Waldy. He's got a new investigation going on down in Texas. So hopefully he'll come up with hopefully there'll be some really good stuff coming out of there. I can't speak too much about it right now, but
Right.
it's I'm excited to see things in the future of what may come out of it. And I guess I'd better mention that I know y'all are having your get together on Halloween and LBL, and but at Smith Park it's going to be on the same weekend as that. Keith Crabtree's going to be there. Squatch Dog Night Callers. So we're having a get together at Smith Park down here. So if somebody can't make it to your get together in LBL, I mean, if they live on the west side of the Mississippi, then they're more than welcome to come down here. We'd love to meet them.
Keith just had a pacemaker put in yesterday, right?
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
His doctor even cut his bandage out in the shape of a Bigfoot. So.
Well, I'm glad he's doing all right, and hopefully he'll be 100% for y'all's get together there at Pal.
Yeah, I hope so. I think he's doing good.
Don't let him haul the wood and stack it and all that.
Yeah.
Get somebody else to do it.
Yeah, he was offered help, and I think they've had some dead trees, had some trees die there in Smith Park, so I think that'll be, I think it'll be there. So.
All right, that's good.
Well, Stephen, we really appreciate you coming on, and we are going to twist you and Will's arm, and because we want to share a campfire with you, and it come down there and go fishing with Will, and go out there in the woods where y'all have had things happen, and me and Larry throw up some hammocks and be bait for you.
Yeah,
that'll work too.
After I sneak that treat log and take him snipping.
Yeah, you're gonna have to show us the treat log.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if Larry ever gets to go fishing in the pond behind Will's house, he'll never want to leave Arkansas.
You're probably right.
Well, we thank you a lot, and we appreciate you, Stephen. You're very humble and you're very forthcoming with your evidence, and y'all are the kind of people that we gravitate towards, and I have met Will before, but we definitely want to come down and meet you sometime. And
yeah, I would love to do that. That would be fun.
Okay, Larry, why don't you tell us about the meet and greet?
Well, you have 2 weeks left, pretty much. We got a post on the Beast page about it. It's the weekend of Halloween. We'll be there Friday night, Saturday night, and leave Sunday. And if you're interested in going, you can let us know in the comments on the YouTube channel, or you can go to the Beast Facebook page and find the pinned post about it and sign up there. We'll add you to the list of the people that are going, and we will be making the announcement of where it's at and all the instructions of how to get there and everything else here within the next week or so. So if you're interested in going, please let us know.
Very good. And we want to remind everybody that Larry has a new Beast TV store, and you can find coffee mugs and t-shirts and gaiters and face masks on there. And this kind of helps us to be able to afford to do these podcasts and the costs that go on behind the scenes. So we just want to encourage everybody. If you want to help us out, that's one way that you can help us out. If not, and if you're not subscribed, think about subscribing to us. We would be honored. And hit the thumbs up button for us and leave us comments. That really help us out. So we want to thank everybody that joined us tonight in our chat room and everybody that's watching us afterwards. And we will see you again. Same bat time, same bat channel. Night, night, footers.
This has been a Sawdust production.